So we're gonna head over to the machine shop. These are two brand new non-vvti JZ GTE castings from Toyota. Brand new heads. I start the season out with new ones just so that you don't have to go through any issues. It's just a brand new one. We still pressure test it, obviously, but we're gonna go get these ported. We're gonna get a lot of components in from GSC. We're gonna get valves, springs, guides, and we're also gonna get valve stem seals and cams that are gonna load up both of these heads, and we're gonna show you guys a little bit of behind the scenes with that. I think we've shown you before in the past, but let's just refresh your memory if you're new to the channel, and we'll show you our step-by-step process with these. We can build this year's race motors. Basically, the first step is to take it to the machine shop and they're gonna port it, and we just do like a smaller pocket port in it. We don't do too much to the runners because we are only making 1,000 horsepower. I know that sounds funny when I say only, but 1,000 horsepower, you just want, well, no, you could have like a leggier high-end 1,000 horsepower, but what I want is extremely responsive 1,000 horsepower. So what we want is it to spool hard in the beginning, like low and mid-range, and we're using nitrous to help with that. And yes, we're using an EFR turbo, but we want it to happen immediately. And so if you were to port the runners on the exhaust and intake really big, what would happen is it would work amazing up top with a larger cam, but I don't even run a big cam. I run a GSC S1 cam because I'm worried about mid-range, and top end I'm only going to 7850, and I just need the tires to spin on the drift car. So that's what we're doing here. So let's keep you guys in the loop. And first they're gonna punch out these valve guides and they're gonna port it. We'll put new GSC valve guides in there and load it all up with GSC goodies, bring it back, we'll build a motor together. All right, it's time. We spoke about this. We're not gonna do anything to the bottom end. We're gonna put the head back on that was just refreshed. We cleaned it up. Nice and clean. We got Mark here. We're gonna put the head on and torque it down, and we're gonna run this in February, March, a little bit in April, then we'll put the fresh built stroker motor in for right when the season happens. We're still gonna be running CP pistons. We're gonna be running Carrillo HD rods, Run BC 3.4 stroker, the Brian Crower 3.4 lightweight stroker crank. Never had any issues, so we're gonna keep running that. Then we're gonna put all GSC valve train, just like we did last year, and the GSC S1 cams, because we like that power band. Gonna keep doing that. Current head that goes back on here, we already have it over here in a bag. We'll grab it in a second, but it was refreshed from engine supply. We did have to put new valves, so we put new GSC valves in there, standard size. We're gonna run the same springs. This is just practice basically, and we're gonna change nitrous settings, do a little bit bigger turbo. Yeah, this motor's seen a little bit of abuse already this year, but it was still making good compression. As we go through that with you guys, just show you that the valves took a little bit of abuse. When I'm on limiter, they're slapping against the seat. It's very minimal maintenance, so we feel like we're just gonna continue doing like that little maintenance at the end of the year, or if we need to address it in the middle of the year, we could do that too, but it's like hasn't been that bad yet. Let's get to this. We're gonna grab the brand new Toyota head gasket. So I always only use an OEM Toyota GT head gasket, so we're gonna put one of those in, and then we're gonna put our ARP head studs. But first we'll take the cams out of the head, set the head on here, slide the head studs in. Let's get started on that, guys. Okay, so we pulled the cams out, GSC S1 cams here. This is a customer's head. Disregard that one. Still a good head, but we're focusing on this head right now. GSC S1 cams, and then we have shimless buckets, and they've all been labeled. This has all been set up at the machine shop. We got GSC valves in here, and then these are our head studs. We're gonna reuse the studs from last season. This is not the motor that's gonna go into competition this year, so typically if it's going to be a brand new motor, it's every single part is brand new, and that's just the way we do it here. But for something that I know is going to work and I'm just going to go put a bunch of hours on, do practice at the beginning of the season, I think it's great to be able to reuse some of this stuff. So first we're going to set the head gasket on here, and then Mark and I will lift this up and set it on here, and then we will slide these in place. That's the way I like to do it, and then thread them on. The only thing that you got to remember to do before that is drop these washers in place. You'll save yourself some headache by doing that. I guess you could do it when it's on the motor, but I typically just put them in before. Drop all the washers in, there's 14 of them, and then all you have to do is slightly slide the head stud in and snug it down, and then you put a little bit of this ARP assembly, the fastener assembly, on the nut, and then you do that. And you guys see this cam shield here? This is supplied by GSC. This is what they recommend putting all over. As you can see, there's already a little bit of assembly lube from the machine shop when they're setting up the lash, but I will apply this entire thing throughout all the lobes and the journals to prevent anything at first startup, even though I'm going to create oil pressure before first startup. And this pump previously should have a little oil left in it. It's a used pump that ran in this short block here. We are going to start installing this right now, guys. See this? Twin scroll, I was using that to set the camera in there on the little handle. Oh, I gotta clean the surface of the mating surface. I already cleaned the head, the block. I'm gonna clean the head real quick. This rag that we're using, it's called like a super rag. Our machine shop gave me 1 pack of these. Literally doesn't leave any residue from this onto the surface you're wiping down. If you were to use a blue shop rag, lots of stuff would stay on the head or the block. You would want to use this, or like a t-shirt works good, but then you gotta kind of ruin a t-shirt. Let's do this, Mark. You'll hold the front of the head, I'll hold the back, and we're just gonna hover above it like this and try and look down through where the stud would go that's gonna go onto this dowel pin, and we'll just kind of locate it onto the dowel pin. This will be slightly in your way, so just be aware of that. Yeah, we'll put the head gasket on. What if we do it without that? Only thing is like evenly set it down, because you don't want to like bump down with the head and then wish that you didn't smack the head on there. Yeah. So like kind of hover above it. Make sure you're close. Yeah, that's it. That was easy. We're gonna put a bunch of head studs in now and apply some of this stuff. We're gonna torque it down. We'll talk to you in a bit. We did 3 times. Mark did it. We did like 33, 34-ish, then like 60, 66-ish, somewhere in there. And then our last go around is 100 foot-pounds. See, what we do is we label like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like that on there, so we just know where to head. He's on his last one of 100, and by this time usually you're sweating. He hasn't started sweating yet though. And then he's gonna go back over it once just to check, and sometimes you'll get a little creep out of them, sometimes nothing happens, but it looks like a little bit of movement on some of them. After that, we put the cams in, install a couple other pieces. I already put this little piece in, put that sensor in. I got some other stuff coming over here that we're gonna put in. I rotate this back so it's not at TDC at all. It's at like 50 degrees on the timing. There's no chance when we slap those cams in there that anything's gonna interfere, touch, or bend any valves. And then I slowly creep it up there and get it in place. That's how I've always done it, and it has never bent any valves. So I'm gonna need the timing belt tensioner. I need to grab that real quick. I use a Powerhouse Racing billet and their cam sensor, so I use that, but I also got some new Powerhouse Racing cam delete thing for the rear. It's this little billet piece, so I'm gonna grab that too, and we'll put that in today. Ooh, sexy. It's done. There we go. Motor's done. Now we just need a car to put it in. That was actually pretty quick, but we just had to put the head, timing on, cam gears, tensioner. We'll put this cover on when it's inside the car later. Alright, that's it for right now, guys. We're gonna go to sleep now. It's like 8 o'clock on a Friday night. Alright, see you later.